is my pleasure to be here today to speak about the role of the Law Society of Kenya in promoting ADR in the country. The biggest challenge we have in court-mandated mediation is the attitude of us lawyers who bring in our litigation combative skills to the arena of peaceful settlement.
An arbitration process is itself an embodiment of justice. People go to arbitration because they believe that it is a process that delivers justice fast and at least cost. It is now my singular pleasure to declare this conference officially open and wish you very, very fruitful deliberations.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to explore the full spectrum of government contracting, from how you negotiate contracts to how you mitigate risk, both as a government and as an investor.
African parties and the Chinese parties seem to agree on that they don't want their disputes resolved in London or Paris or other areas outside of the region.
When you're talking about the move, did you suggest that there was more non-state Chinese activity? I mean, and you're not talking about Chinese parastatals.
What we're seeing in China is a massive increase of the wealth held by private individuals and privately owned corporations.
China is in Africa. It's not living. It's trading with us.
We have an issue in terms of reciprocal agreements and making sure that it's mutually beneficial.
I'm sure there are business people, there are counsel here whose clients deal with the Chinese. They may be in a better position. But one has to be careful on what dispute resolution clause one enters into.
The theme, and that's why we have this conference here, is how do we bring in arbitration confidence within East Africa? So one of the dreams I think we should actually advance is why can't we have a regional ADR Act? Because we have cross-border practice, we have cross-border trade.
The African continent signed the largest trade agreement to trade within themselves. We are saying that we understand that by trading together, we're stronger together.
Our region, East Africa, is doing quite well, both compared to other parts of the continent and also compared to the rest of the globe, actually.
If you look at the statistics today, intra-Africa trade probably sits at about 17%.
Unless we are collective, I don't think we can achieve much. And yet we have great vision, SCFTA, we want to attract investment. But how, and I guess this is not for us, is everybody in the room, how can we have that collective growth across the region?
Governmental entities operate within limitations on the obligations they may assume in transactions and attract protections against suited liability.
After a lengthy and tough negotiations, Ethiopia and the African Union managed to get the military transitional council and the leaders of the protesters in Sudan signed the civilian government agreement. Now we have a civilian government in Sudan. That was a strongest message to the world at large that African crisis can be solved by African and only Africans.
However, even as state investor arbitration and dispute settlement mechanisms have developed, there have been certain concerns.
We live and operate in a rapidly changing world where legislative, political, social, economic developments directly affect the way in which we live and work.
It's important that a contract address possible changes in laws and the state not take on a disproportionate level of risk with regard to changes in laws.
Foreign investors brought investment arbitration claims challenging government measures in the following areas: revocation or denial of licenses and permits, legislative reforms.
The government would want to get inflows of investment and protect itself against rogue investors or huge awards that might be made, but at the same time you have investors who want to know that when they bring in the investments, those investments are safe and that in the event of a dispute, they are protected.
We are primarily, for purposes of this debate, concerned with the dispute resolution mechanism contained in bilateral investment treaties or free trade agreements.
But with the aid of this wonderful panel, we will be able to really delve into some of these issues.
There is nothing wrong with the system of ISDS.
What is wrong is with the parties. So the investor who wants too much, regardless of the interests of local people, and perhaps the host state who is not negotiating properly or not negotiating with a view to what's going to come in the future. So essentially what I'm saying is that any criticism is really about buyer's remorse.
My learned friend said, you will have heard many, many concessions, which in fact exactly make my point, that ISDS does not work for Africa.
For example, there is a complaint about excessive profits by foreign investors. Who strikes the bargain? Who strikes the bargain? Is it that we don't want to face the reality that our states are not striking good bargains? Or is it that, for example, our states have to strike bargains where they will bring an investor because they need them more?
Investors will come to Africa with or without ISDS. So that very first threshold question, is ISDS good for Africa? It's irrelevant, frankly.
The topics that we have covered were all very, very well organized with very eminent speakers that were speaking to my heart, because arbitration and all the subjects that were covered by very well abreast people. And I must say we have a wealth of experienced arbitrators in Africa.
I have thoroughly enjoyed the East African International Arbitration Conference here in Nairobi. This is the first time that I've attended this conference, and I would like to congratulate the organisers for a fantastic and incredibly well attended event.
My biggest takeaway is the organization of the conference. The topics are contemporary. They are topics that you feel, they are things that happen every day. And the topics have been very carefully selected. The speakers have also been very, very carefully selected. They're knowledgeable. And so the participants are going away with a lot of information. My experience so far is that it's money well spent, time well invested.
I would like to observe that the last few years have seen tremendous growth in arbitration in the region. And that is evidenced by the growth of new arbitration centers. We have Kigali International Arbitration Center at the center of Africa, or the heart of Africa, that's Kigali. We have Nairobi International Arbitration Center, which is stationed right where we are. ICAMEC is coming up in Kampala, and of prominence is the East African Court of Justice, and I believe the Judge President will be addressing his mind shortly to what the court is doing as regards its arbitration jurisdiction.
It is my pleasure to be here at the 7th edition of the East African International Arbitration Conference. This is not my first time at the EAIAC. I have attended previous conferences, and I'm delighted to see the strides that have been made. I have a great interest in arbitration and alternative dispute resolution, both personally and as a president of the East African Court of Justice.
If you don't calculate the amount of damages involved in the case, you may end up with some serious errors.
There's also usually a provision for termination of the funding agreement.
And facilitating access to justice is perhaps the area where third-party funding offers its greatest contribution.
Our panel today will be discussing overview of dispute costs, settlement options, and using other methods to avoid disputes.
As many of you are aware,
costs in international arbitration are significant and are of great concern.
The need for states to provide incentive to parties to come and participate in investing in their countries against the need for an investor to feel that should a dispute arise, they will be given proper consideration.
I'm aware that part of the provision says for the government to consent to any arbitration in that respect, you must exhaust local remedies. So if you could help to throw some light, I appreciate it.
What's quite unique about our ICS is, as the slide shows there, we actually police our members, whether those be individuals or companies.
Matters of illegality and corruption can affect the enforcement of an award in the end, so investors need to be aware of that.
But in most cases, the party is not usually willing to pay, and that's where enforcement usually comes in.
For the first time in the history of the Republic of Kenya, we won an international arbitration award.
I guess it's just progression of life, enjoying what you're doing, because I have really enjoyed my journey through arbitration.
So as a practitioner, some of those are the differences sometimes you find when you have an arbitration locally as opposed to those arbitrations out of jurisdiction.
Thank you for sharing with us your experiences and your views on arbitration going forward.
The confidential nature of arbitration really means the pool is not open.
We operate in a context, and that context has certain contracts, which I am convinced represent a certain worldview of international arbitration. That worldview allocates value.
Don't stay in a remote place. Try to go where others are doing business. So face competition. That's the only way you can stand and walk.
My greatest takeaway would be the collaboration that needs to be strengthened between African institutions and African practitioners, and IAC is doing a great job at it.
المشاركة الأولى لي في هذه المنطقة، وسعدنا باستضافة المنظمين وكرم ضيافة الدولة المستضيفة والتنظيم الرائع لهذا المؤتمر وتعدد المشاركين في المؤتمر. نتمنى المشاركة في السنوات القادمة، ونتمنى أن يتطرق المؤتمر في المستقبل إلى مواضيع تخص اتفاقية سنغافورة 2019 المتعلقة بالوساطة، وكذلك تسليط الضوء على التحكيم وفقا لضوابط الشريعة الإسلامية، حيث أن هذه الدول مهتمة بالاقتصاد الإسلامي.
I had the pleasure to moderate the last session. It was on diversity and the role of arbitral institutions in Africa, and there was an interaction with the audience, and I really enjoyed moderating this session.
It's been amazing. I love the fact that the organizers are all African women. I also love the fact that they managed to create this conference that has brought people not just from East Africa, but from all over Africa.
We had a wonderful participation of about 16 nations, and the quality of the presentations, the speakers was world class. I think this is the best East African International Arbitration Conference I've attended. I've attended 3 in the past, but this one really takes the first prize in terms of organizational skills, in terms of satisfaction from the participants. We really enjoyed it.
We had the Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya give his keynote speech about his support and the judiciary support for arbitration. And we also had the President of the Law Society of Kenya also give his keynote speech. And this year, I'm very excited. We are going to be having the Africa Arbitration Awards this evening. So I'm really looking forward to the unveiling of the winners and seeing the finalists take the stage.
want to say why this evening is special to us. After 7 years, it was important for us to shine a light on people, not us, but through you, shine a light on people who have been exceptional and people who had done well in arbitration practice. So we launched the Africa Arbitration Award.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome on the stage another committee member, Leo Tamero, to push for the program. Leo, you're welcome, please.
We have now come to the point where we're ready to reveal the winners. We're very excited about this first inaugural award, and we really hope this is a great start and that this will take us forward to promoting more African counsel and arbitrators and practitioners in Africa, but also across the world. So the first award that we're going to be giving out is on Leading Arbitration Services Provider. So may I call to the stage Lawrence Murray from the Nairobi Center of International Arbitration to come tell us a bit about this.
As one of the judges, I think my task this evening, one, is to confirm that the nominees for this position, in my view, deserved to be on the nomination list. The winner of the Leading Arbitration Service Provider is J. Miles & Co.
I'm never going to be at the Oscars, but this is the next closest thing to it. Obviously feel very privileged to be given this, the first award in the series of no doubt many years of awards.
The real reward is to be here with you. So thank you very much for your support, and Corsica is your institution, and we hope that we will be together in many other conferences.
May I also call the representative from BDO to come please take their honorary plaques.
The reason EAC has helped BDO to become a little bit more African, because I remember 2 years ago, our African practice, our African forensic practice was a bit weak. So congratulations to everybody else.
Leading Case Counsel Team. The nominees for the Leading Case Counsel Team are IKM Advocates, yes, definitely, Alex from Nigeria, and J. Miles & Co.
I came with a conclusion confirming that Africa is full of talents. And so it was a very educative exercise to know more about these brilliant practitioners.
Shall I announce the winner? All right, I'll come out with it. IKM Advocates.
On behalf of the IKM team that worked on the leading cases that were actually considered for this award, we'd like to say thank you. We're very honored to have been recognized, to have been nominated, and actually won. And so I speak for all my colleagues, the ones that are here and the ones that are not here with us. We're very happy to have received this award.
On we go to the third award, which is Innovation in Arbitration. So the shortlisted candidates for Innovation in Arbitration are iResolve, the Association of Young Arbitrators, and the Arbitration Foundation of Southern Africa. To tell us a bit more about the consideration for this award, I will call to the stage Ike Ehribe, if he's here.
It was quite an interesting category to deal with, and that is because it had to do with technology and innovation. And the organizers had made clear that there were a number of factors and features that we, the appointed judges, had to take into account. The Indomitable Association, known as the Association of Young Arbitrators has won this award.
So on behalf of people on the continent, young people, thank you so much. This was so impromptu. So congratulations to everyone who was a nominee on this category, and thank you all for your votes.
Pierre will come and get the award for ARSAF as a recognition for their nomination.
It's gratifying to be here. It's a privilege and a pleasure, and it's highly gratifying to see AFSA at last step up and take its place amongst the African international arbitration community. But we look forward to striving along with the rest of you to making Africa the arbitral hub that it ought to be. Thanks very much.
The nominees for the Young Arbitration Practitioner of the Year are Mercy Okiro, Abayomi Okubote, and Wilfred Mutubwa. So to come and tell us a little bit about the selection on this award, I will invite to the stage Dr. Fidel Masengo.
We also assessed demonstrated knowledge, both in the practice and the theory, the training, and also how the person has served in the whole region.
To present the award, may I please call to the stage Alan Ichui. I believe he's still in this room.
All right, the Young African Arbitrator of the Year is none other than Mercy Okiro.
Put in the time and hope for the best, network as hard as you can, and live your life also. Like, it's not always about work.
I am told Wilfred Mutubwa is also in the room, one of our finalists. Could you please kindly come and take your plaque?
I've been asked to say a word. I will say a word. Thank you very much to the organizers for this recognition. What I would like to say is that I know the other nominees, very worthy people who are working with the young people to promote arbitration.
It's about to be that time where we announce the final award, the African Arbitrator of the Year. The nominees for the African Arbitrator of the Year are Olofunke Adekoya, Honorable Justice Edward Topor, Babatunde Fagunulu, and Georges Abissab. To tell us a bit more about the award, I will call one of the judges, Deep Nagunu, the head of the Mark Arbitration Center.
We had also to make sure that they demonstrated knowledge, not only in domestic arbitration, but more importantly, in international arbitration. And by doing so, they had to show that they were using African seats, African centers, and African courts.
So, to present the award, may I please call to the stage Honorable Justice Emmanuel Guereshibuja.
It gives me pleasure to announce the winner of the African Arbitrator of the Year. Oh, this is very interesting, yeah. And the winner is Honorable Justice Edward Topor.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for this very special award. It is genuinely a unique award, and I feel very privileged that I'm the first person to win it. That my challenge to you is to take arbitration seriously to the courts, teach the judges to become better judges so that they too can in turn serve the arbitration community a lot better. Thank you to all of you who voted for me. Thank you for my family. God bless you all.
Thank you very much, everyone. May I please ask all of the nominees and the winners to please come to the stage.
Thank you once again. Have a good evening. Enjoy the music. And thank you, everybody, the hotel, the suppliers, everybody. I am grateful on behalf of the committee and on behalf of everyone. Asanteni sana.